So you took a 6'2" serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison.
Do you understand why I said I use she, her pronouns?
Can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
In a world where wokeness has infiltrated our society, many doubters of the modern world has stepped forward. So let's look at wokeness getting absolutely destroyed.
The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending? And it is clear on your record, your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Thank you, Judge Netburn. Senator Padilla.
Judge Netburn, that's
Senator
directly contrary to what your report
you all
said.
have
That
had
is directly contrary. You're going to follow up.
We're going to
You're going to follow up, and that's how it works.
There is not.
That is exactly how it works.
Look,
If you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words because it's exactly the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators,
So does every Democrat senator want to cover up the facts here? Is any Democrat
so can we
senator interested
return
in the direct
to
contradiction
Senator?
from
We'll
the
be
witness?
returning to Senator
Apparently,
Padilla's
the entire
questioning, or
Democrat
we will
senators that want to
adjourn
cover these up.
today's
You
hearing.
want to adjourn? Go ahead. You can do that.
Go ahead, Senator Padilla. I want to give you your 30 seconds.
You might as well, because the
Padilla, I
questions
want
are
to give
going
you
to
your 30
be, are you
seconds.
more
If you
handsome or
wish, you can
beautiful
yield
or
your
brilliant?
time and we
And
can
let's avoid the facts.
facts.
Well, Judge Netburn, I'm going to continue on this line of questioning. In your court, what matters more, the rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
And also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McLean was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female. That phrase struck me as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
that is a verbatim quote, entirely a female.
Sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial child with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something. The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're
Yes,
asking me?
the other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial put in as their cellmate?
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me, and I reached a decision based on what the law
I asked
is.
you a question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender. I got to say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge with no bearing on reality. The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, the Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from violence and trauma. This interest is legitimate, that's kind of you to say, but there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending. The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position. No evidence, theoretical. Have you dealt, in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child not at a risk of reoffending?
Senator, as I do in every case.
I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this case. All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, the BOP also posits that permitting petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown. I have to say, if I were the father of one of those women, and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed assault, I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Judge Netburn, there was an opportunity during your exchange with Senator Cruz that you were attempting to offer a response relative to the conditions under which this petitioner was unsafe in the facilities in which she was being held. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to finish that response.
So the facts that were presented to me and what I relied on to make my decision were that the petitioner had engaged in no physical violence, no acts of whatsoever while in custody. All three wardens who supervised the petitioner requested that she be transferred to a women's facility because of her serious medical needs. In addition, the Bureau of Prisons' longtime medical provider testified at a 2-day hearing in my courtroom and recommended that the petitioner be transferred because of her serious medical needs. And the last thing I'll say is that the Transgender Executive Council, which is the body that makes decisions on behalf of transgender transfer requests within the Bureau of Prisons, never said that the petitioner could not be transferred, and never, ever said that she couldn't be transferred because of any risk of violence. What the Transgender Executive Council repeatedly said in denying the request was simply that she needed to maintain her hormone levels. That was the repeated justification for the denial of transfer. But the petitioner had reached full female hormone levels before even being incarcerated. At the time, the district judge in Indiana who sentenced the petitioner requested that she be placed in a women's facility. Her hormones were entirely female at that point, and so the decision by the Transgender Executive Council to deny the transfer request based on this idea that it was only because her hormones needed to be consistent and stabilized, I found was a pretext, but they never once said she cannot be transferred because of. It was always based on this idea that her hormones had to be.
Thank you,
Madam
Judge
Chair.
Netburn. Senator
Madam
Judge
Padilla.
Netburn, that's
Senator
directly
Padilla,
contrary to what your
Senator, you
report
all
says.
have
That is
had
directly
all.
contrary.
No, no,
We're
no,
gonna-
No,
You're
you're
gonna
gonna follow up.
We're gonna be-
No,
You're
there
gonna
is
follow up,
no
and that's
follow-up.
how it
No,
works.
there is not.
That is
There
exactly
is-
how it works.
Look,
If
we're
you
gonna be
follow
allowed
up,
to
you didn't get
ask
extra time,
questions?
and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words
This isn't
because
fair,
it's
Madam
exactly
Chair.
the opposite of what she said. Your own
Chair.
report.
Senators,
said, quote,
I gave both of you more time to finish your line
allowed
of
the witness to
questioning.
testify.
I
You
allowed the witness
and
to
you jumped in
finish
and took
her.
another round.
I allowed
You
the
took
witness
another
to
round.
finish
You
her
opened the door.
response.
You
I
opened the
allowed
door
the
to this.
witness to finish
You're
her
abusing
response.
your status
That is.
as chair.
Okay, I understand
That
that you're
is not
scared of the
You are
facts.
abusing
I
your
have-
status
Chair.
as chair.
Senator
Madam Chair,
Padilla?
Madam
can't
Chair,
just open
Thank you,
up
Madam Chair.
testimony and then
she
not
has an
give us a
obligation to
chance
explain
cross-examine?
why she directly contradicted what she wrote in her report. She says in her report, the Bureau of Prisons' claimed penological interest is in protecting female prisoners from and trauma. She just told you the Bureau of Prisons didn't say there was a concern about and trauma. Those are directly contradictory, and why are you contradicting what you wrote in your report?
And what are you
Madam
trying to
Chair, I
hide,
believe
Madam
I have
Chair?
the floor.
No, wait, point of
I
order.
believe
Senator
I
Padilla.
have the floor.
Senator
Trying to
Padilla.
hide,
Are you going to let her
Madam
answer that question?
Senator
or you
Padilla.
don't want her to answer that question?
Senator
You're
Padilla.
afraid?
This
Very
is
much,
a
Madam
cover-up,
Chair.
Madam
Senator
Chair.
Are you
Padilla.
afraid of the answer to
This
that
is
Colleague.
no
Cover-up.
Are you
Senator
afraid
Padilla.
of the answer to that question?
Senator
Colleagues,
Padilla.
So yes,
My
you are
time.
afraid of the answer to that question.
Senator Padilla.
Please hold
Clearly,
my
you're
time.
afraid of the answer to that question.
This is
Thank you.
absurd. Madam Chair,
Ms. Newman.
Thank you.
I have a point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Kennedy.
Madam Chair, with respect, you allowed the witness to go at length and to change her testimony without her being subject to cross-examination. Are you going to allow us to have a second round of questioning?
No, Senator Kennedy.
What are you trying to cover up here?
There is no cover-up, and Mr. Padilla, Senator Padilla, you'll be allowed the 30 seconds remaining
I
left
want
of your
to
time.
appeal the ruling of the
Thank
chair.
you. I'd like to hear the
I would like to
responses
appeal.
from the two
Madam
witnesses
Chair, I have
remaining.
a point of order. I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair. You allowed a
Your
witness-
point of order was offered and
and I-
responded to,
and I appeal the ruling of the chair and call for a roll call vote. You allowed a witness, let me state my case.
Sure.
With respect. You allowed a witness to go on for 4 or 5 minutes, change her testimony, knowing full well that neither Senator Cruz nor I could cross-examine her about her perjury.
Senator Kennedy, would you allow the witnesses
I'm
to finish
still in
responding
the
to my
middle of a
question,
point of
and then
order,
we can
Mr.
act
Madam
on
Chair.
your request?
And I think we
Senator
should
Kennedy.
have a second round.
Senator Kennedy.
And I am appealing the ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy,
Senator-
would you allow the witnesses to finish responding to my question, and
And
then we
I
can
am
respond to your
appealing the
request?
ruling of the chair.
Senator Kennedy, I gave you a response to your request of a second round of questioning. I have no intention on allowing a second round of questioning.
And I'm
There is-
appealing your ruling.
That is fine. There is no procedure that allows
I
for
would
a
ask for a
roll
roll
call.
call
There
vote.
is no procedure for it that allows for a roll call vote in this committee. This is a hearing. I have the gavel. I have responded
this is
to
a cover-up,
your
Madam Chair.
request.
This is an
and I am
embarrassing
going to
cover-up.
return
I will
to
say I've
Senator
never seen
Kennedy's.
a chair try so hard to protect a witness and avoid answering why she just lied on the stand with her own words, her own opinion.
Thank you so much for your request. It has been heard, responded to. Senator Padilla,
not- but
your...
There will be no
If I
cross-examination.
would like-
The witness shall be
But I
allowed
want
to
to be
lie,
clear,
and
I
no one will
understand
ask.
your
So,
ruling. I think I have the floor.
There, you have been, you asked for, was there going to be another round of questions?
Point of order. Your
The answer
ruling
is no.
that we can't have a second round, that the chair can allow a witness, after we're finished with cross-examination, go on at length, change her testimony, potentially perjure herself. We're not allowed to cross-examine in a second round of questioning, which we do all the time.
The answer is
And
no,
you tell me
Senator Kennedy.
I can't, and you now ask for a roll call vote to appeal your ruling.
Madam
and you say
Chair.
I can't do that.
No, you cannot.
That's
Madam Chair,
ridiculous.
point of
Thank
personal
you.
privilege, please. Madam Chair, point of order.
Senator Hirona.
You know, we have been witness to literally witness badgering, and now badgering of the chair. She has issued her ruling. There is no appeal. Some of us would like to get on with this hearing.
I'm sure you
and
would.
To have to sit here and listen to all of you go off time and time and time again. And I just want to commend this witness, this nominee, for her comportment, because what her comportment says to me is that she is going to be a damn good judge. Can we get on with it, Madam Chair?
So does every Democrat senator want to cover up the facts here? Is any Democrat
So can we
senator interested
return
in the direct
to
contradiction
Senator,
from the
we'll be
witness?
returning to Senator
Apparently,
Padilla's
the entire
questioning, or
Democrat
we will
senators that wanna
adjourn
cover these up.
today's
You want
hearing.
to adjourn? Go ahead. You can do that.
Go ahead.
Senator Padilla, I
We
want
might
to
as
give you
well.
your 30
You
seconds.
might as
Way you're
well,
gonna run this
because the
hearing.
Padilla, I
questions
wanna
are
give
going
you
to
your
be,
30
are you
seconds.
more
If you
handsome or
wish, you can
beautiful
yield
or
your
brilliant?
time and we
And
can
let's
have-
avoid the...
In this first court clip, Senator Ted Cruz went right after the woke judge, and it got absolutely heated. But in the next clip, the chairman destroyed a woke woman when debating if men can get pregnant.
Can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Just, I want your opinion on this and your answer. Can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, no.
Thank you. And there was a reason why I asked that question. It's because of our culture and the idiocy that's out there about men getting pregnant, about, what is a woman, define a woman, all that stuff. So I thought it was kind of relevant to this bill. In fact, I was even thinking about an amendment to ensure that those thoughts are instilled in statute, that men cannot get pregnant, and a pregnant man's that doesn't have a part of it. But anyway, just wanted to kind of see where you were at on that, but I knew you were on the right side, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hearing the bill.
Yes, sir.
Against, Marilyn Rodriguez.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chair, members, Marilyn Rodriguez with Creosote Partners on behalf of our client, the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual Domestic Violence, in opposition to this legislation. Leaving discretion with the courts and prosecutors is in the best interest of survivors of sexual domestic violence, and we strongly encourage a no vote against this legislation, which we believe is an attempt to place a greater value on unborn human life than victims. Thank you.
So, Ms. Marilyn, can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, to that point.
And I'm not done. Define what a woman is, in your opinion.
Relevance, point of order.
Thank you very much.
It is relevant, and point of order not recognized. I would like you to answer that, because you are speaking on behalf of a bill that involves pregnant women, and I would like to get your take on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm speaking in opposition to a bill
Right.
related to the against people who are pregnant.
Against a woman who is pregnant. That's in the bill, not people, woman. So I would like you to explain, in your definition, what a woman is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
there are people who identify as different genders who are capable of getting pregnant. That is my position on this. I am not going to feed more into the bigotry of that question.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just want to make a comment of the reason I asked that question is there's two different philosophies in this room regarding this bill, and I think it is relevant to this bill. And I concur with Senator Rogers it's a sad day in our nation where you have a bill that's being run that is protecting pregnant women. Just a few short years ago, we knew what a woman was. We knew men could not get pregnant, and I still believe they cannot get pregnant. I was called a bitch this morning because of that philosophy. It's insane where we become, and until we continue to push back on the that's out there as to men getting pregnant, people that cannot define what a woman is, and we have to keep telling the truth that God created them male and female, and real men protect real women.
So the chairman was not going to play around and instantly went for their woke ideas. But this next clip shows us what happens when a based courtman gets into a pronouns debate.
Dr. Robinson, I noticed in your written testimony, you said that you use she, her pronouns. You're a medical doctor. What's a woman?
It's important for you to understand why I said I use she, her pronouns.
Well,
It's because I understand that
I'm
there
explaining.
are people.
I was explaining why I'm asking the question, but I'd just like to get an answer to the question. What's a woman?
I think it's important that we educate people like you about why we're doing the things that we do. And so the reason that I use she and her pronouns is because I understand that there are people who become pregnant that may not identify that way. And I think it is discriminatory to speak to people or to call them in such a way as they desire not to be called.
Thanks for that
So
explanation.
it's
Can you
important
answer-
that we respect each individual person.
Are you going to answer my question? Can you answer the question, what's a woman?
I'm a woman. And I will ask you, which pronouns do you use?
Can you
If you
provide...
tell me that you use she and her pronouns, I'm going to answer you. I'm going to call you Mr. Bishop. I'm going to respect you for how you want me to address you.
I'm just asking, so you give me an example of a woman, you say that you are a woman. Can you tell me,
think that is
otherwise, can you tell me what a woman is?
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm a woman.
Is that as comprehensive a definition as you can give me?
That's as comprehensive as a definition as I will give you today, because I think that it's important that we focus on what we're here for, and it's to talk about access to abortion
I see. So you're not
care
interested
and
in
how
answering a
important
question
this
I ask
right
unless,
is.
and answering a question that I ask unless it's part of a message you want to deliver. Is that right?
I'm sorry.
You're
Because
not.
I was talking and you were talking
Yes,
at the
ma'am.
same time.
I'm right.
I couldn't hear
It's my
you.
time.
Okay,
It's
I
my
just
time
said-
to ask you questions. That's the purpose of it. Is my ask you to uncover things by asking you questions and asking you to respond. So you're not willing to answer a question unless it's part of a message you wish to deliver. Is that correct?
Sir, what I was trying to explain to you is that I had a difficult time hearing you since we were talking at the same time.
All right, let me just see if I can go to Ms. Arambide. Is that a pretty close approximation of the pronunciation?
Arambide?
Arambide? Okay. What do you say a woman is?
I believe that everyone can identify for themselves.
Okay. Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have?
Yes.
Professor Goodwin, the draft opinion says this, in part. The court has no authority to decree that an erroneous precedent is permanently exempt from evaluation under traditional stare decisis principles. Adherence to precedent is the norm, but not an inexorable command. If the rule were otherwise, erroneous decisions like Plessy and Lochner would still be the law. Close quote. Professor, isn't that inarguably true? Mustn't it be the case that all prior decisions of the court are subject to reevaluation?
Well, it is certainly the case that we have in the legacy of this court, Dred Scott, Plessy v. Ferguson, they fell after Brown v. Board of Education. So the ability to be able to review is important. That's the ability to be able to review. It's another thing when the Supreme Court then strips away a fundamental protection that has been made, particularly given that the justices who may be involved in this leaked draft opinion suggested that they actually respected the precedent and stare decisis associated with Roe, and we were not talking about Plessy v. Ferguson or Dred Scott when they said that they respected that stare decisis.
Well, if those are examples, so Roe and Casey would be equally susceptible to reevaluation as Plessy. Would you agree?
Well, and in fact, they certainly could be and be further expanded, and they have been. So one of the things we haven't talked about is that there is Whole Women's Health v. Hellerstedt, and even just a couple years ago, June Medical v. Rousseau, which this Supreme Court used to further uphold the principles of Roe v. Wade and also Planned Parenthood v. Casey.
I yield back. My time's up.
What do you think of this? Should a medical doctor be able to tell you what defines a woman anyways? Like the video if you enjoyed and comment woke if you reached the end.